Okay. Our discussion for today will be focused on the use of online data collection platforms. No? One thing that I would discuss is the use of your Google Form. So many of us already are aware of Google Forms, right? Can I get a heart react if who among you have encountered Google Forms, use Google Forms other than our quizzes in the Google Classroom? Sino po sa inyo yung nakagamit ng Google Form, Google, like you answered a survey, you answered a questionnaire using Google Form? Can I get a heart react from others? Sige nga, kung sino na yung nakagamit ng Google Form other than the quizzes that we are using in the Google Classroom. Okay, so as you can see, Google Form is widely used. No? Data collection platforms online are already widely used. If we may say, the pandemic actually catalyzed the use of these forms. Dati-rate, even before the pandemic, these forms are already actually existing. No? Even before the pandemic, we are actually using these forms already. Okay, so don't say that these forms came about because of the COVID-19 pandemic. No, that's not the case. No? Even before the pandemic, we are already using these forms. However, it is the pandemic that made us use it widely in a wide perspective. So right now, we will be discussing data collection platforms and how can they be used in our practice as nurses. So there are a lot, no? We are not endorsing, I am not endorsing here Google Forms, but perhaps the most common that we have encountered is Google Form. But mind you, it is not the only tool that can be used to collect the data. Okay, so other examples are you have your WP forms. You also have your type form for that matter. Then, if I'm not mistaken, the one on the left is a hub form. Then you also have your JOT form, and then even your Microsoft forms, no, that of the Microsoft Office. Now, as you can see, these are only just some of the list. If you would search the internet, there are maybe 20 or even more common softwares that are used in data collection. But for the purpose of our discussion, I will be discussing on Google Forms. Now, when I talk about online data collection forms, such as your Google Forms is actually a form wherein the question is created and filled online. Oftentimes, on your role as nurses, perhaps what you have done is that you have participated, you accomplished, you answered a Google form. But today, you will be learning how also to make a Google form so that you will be able to use it in the future. So the questions can be shared through email. It can also be shared by sending a link. Okay? And if you can see, there are already opportunities wherein QR codes are being made. Okay? Now, responses to these questions are collated automatically on a spreadsheet. This is perhaps the most important advantage of your Google form compared to your manual data collection. Now, allow me to give you an example. Now, in the past, if we will be collecting the forms, or if we will ask our participants, for example, to participate or to answer a survey, the very big tendency is that they will write with pen and pencil on the survey that you have given. So class, what would happen? After the survey, you need to tally, you need to check, you need to list down all the responses of those participants. But right now, class, in Google Form, in a simple click, you will be able to see already if what is the responses of your respondents, of your participants, and that is easily summarized on a spreadsheet, such as your Microsoft Excel or your Google spreadsheet, no, or Google Sheets. So it actually facilitates data collection. In our case as researchers, we are collecting data from hundreds of people usually. And then when we are using Google Forms, the tendency is that we can collect the data, we can process the data in number of days only. Rather than if we will be doing it manually, it takes us a month or even longer for us to process the information. But currently, the present problem that researchers are facing on the use of these data collection platforms, especially among the younger generations, as an observation, There are participants who do not want to answer. There are participants who are already tired of answering Google Forms or something like that. Okay? Have you noticed if researchers are sending items to you, di ba may instances na parang sabi mo, uy, nakakatamad naman itong questionnaire? Are you feeling the same? Can I see her facial expressions on that? Na? And that is not actually only evident in our school, not only evident actually among the student nurses, but it has been evident on several instances already. No? Halimbawa, no, I had a student in the master's program who conducted a study in the hospital, and then I advised to the student to do it via Google Forms. And then the student said, okay, that would be easier among us to do it via Google Forms. And then later on, we found out that after a week, only 30 nurses were able to respond in the Google form that we have, whereas our target is actually more than 100. And we were advised by the hospital where we are conducting the study to give out photocopies of our questionnaire. And you know what? It turned out that the response rate is better. Okay? So that's one idea. No? Researchers are also saying that one reason could be is that people are experiencing social media fatigue, or maybe people are experiencing the phenomenon being referred to as internet fatigue. No? Yung parang paminsan-minsan gusto lang nila mag-watch ng videos in the internet, pero wala silang pake kung anumang survey yung sinesend mo dyan. Wala din silang pake kung matatapos mo yung research mo or not. Okay? Why I'm telling you this is one area that you can look into later on once you will be conducting your research. Okay? Do I need to do it online or do I need to do it face-to-face using the forms that we have? Because each of these would have its pros and its cons. May advantage siya at may disadvantage. Now, there are already groups in research who are, alam nyo kung ano yung ginagawa. Sila mismo yung may dalang cellphone, tapos binibigay, tapos sabi, uy, pa-answer ng questionnaire namin. Okay? Tapos hinihintay, of course, na matapos. Okay? Bakit daw ganun yung ginagawa? Para automatic daw nakatali na kaagad. Meron din naman na kinukulit na lang talaga yung lahat, no? Okay? Through the social media, email, contact number, para lang ma-fill up or ma-accomplish yung forms. Okay? So those are some of the strategies also that you can employ. But please be reminded, no? Okay, pag-usapan muna natin yung uses in nursing practice. So guys, when I talk about nursing practice, oftentimes when we discuss nursing practice, we divide it into three. So you have your clinical nursing practice, you have your education, and then we also have your research. Okay? So yan po yung tatlong area na tinitingnan natin. Now, what are the uses, no? So obviously, quizzes. We have been doing that. If you are using Google Classroom, quizzes can be administered via your Google Forms. Questionnaires in research could be administered via Google Forms. Ganon din po yung survey. Kung nakikita niyo po, meron isang app, the Survey Monkey, which also allows us to collect data through surveys. Okay? Now, evaluation. Halimbawa, I would want to know, are you learning something from this class? Or I would want to know if, do you appreciate the style of teaching that I am doing? One thing that I can do is to conduct an evaluation. Pwede kong sabihin, I am happy to attend my class in nursing informatics. Tapos magre-respond kayo. No, I'm not very happy. Yes, I'm very excited. Okay, parang medium-medium lang. Pwedeng ganon, evaluation. Okay? Now, it is also being used to gather customer feedback. Ano pong ibig sabihin natin ng pag-gather ng customer feedback? Halimbawa, class, kakatapos lang ng services. Or let's say, for example, nasa hospital tayo. Okay? Kapag nasa hospital tayo, we have patients, di ba? And one thing for us to ensure the quality of care that we are delivering to our patient, we need to have the customer feedback. So ano pong pwede kong gawin, no? Using the Google form. Using the Google form or using any other data collection platform, I will be able to give my patients, okay, a form to accomplish. Tapos, from that, the patients will be able to respond. Happy nga ba sila sa nurses? Happy nga ba sila sa facilities ng hospital natin? Happy nga ba sila doon sa services na na-receive nila sa hospital natin? Okay? Now, ano po yung advantage? Okay? It allows the hospital management to address the problems of the clients promptly. Okay? It allows the hospital management to address the client problems promptly. Bakit? Dati-rati po kasi, yung practice is, di ba, susulat ka sa papel, tapos kung ikaw yung patient, i-drop mo yon. It's either sa station class or paglabas mo ng guard ng hospital, kung ikaw yung pasyente, i-drop mo yung recommendations. Tapos kailan pa yung titingnan? Usually class at the end of the day pa yan tinitipon. Or if not the end of the day, other hospitals are doing it on a weekly basis, no? Weekly basis po nila ginagawa. So, for that reason, nadidelay yung response na binibigay natin sa kanilang concerns. But with the availability of data collection forms, for example, such as your Google Forms, no? It allows us to collect the data promptly and that they will be able to react and then address the problems appropriately. Now, ethics in the use of online collection platforms. So, napakarami, no? And most likely you will be using this once, for example, you will be conducting research, or once later on you will become nurse managers in the future. I think you will be using this. It will be a very efficient tool for you to improve the management practices that you have. Now, ano pong tandaan natin? Dapat, whatever form you will use, you apply the principle of informed consent. Okay? Whatever tool you will be using, you go back to your ethics and then you apply the principle of informed consent. Sir, paano po yung informed consent? You need to ask the participant. You need to inform the participant kung ano yung question na yan. You need to ask the participant if willing nga ba sila mag-participate. Eh sir, paano naman yung quiz? Hindi ka naman nagtatanong ng consent sa quiz natin, di ba? Plus, for your quizzes, data collection is already implied. Okay? The consent there is already implied. Because at the start of the class, you have been oriented that you will have quizzes, it will be a basis for your grading. So alam mo kung ano yung purpose ng quizzes natin. In that case, the consent is already implied. But if you are conducting a study, you need to explain the risk, the benefits, how long nga ba siya mag-fill up ng form, ano nga ba yung compensation na ibibigay mo sa kanya. Kung wala kang compensation na ibibigay, you should be able to indicate it. If you will be giving out 100 pesos to everybody who will be answering your survey, you need to indicate it. Okay? Then kapag may problema siya sa survey mo or sa questions mo, who will be contacted? Those are the important information that you need to include if you will be conducting the research. Okay? So that's informed consent. Then, privacy. Okay? Pag sinabi nating privacy and confidentiality, as discussed in your ethics classes, dapat the data should only be used for the purpose of the data only. So halimbawa kapag sinabi ko, uy, I'm collecting this data, Christia, the purpose of this data is for my research on my doctorate degree. So pag yun yung sinabi ko halimbawa kay Christia, who is my respondent, that data should only be used for that purpose. I could not go around and say, uy, ito yung responses niya. Alam nyo, mali siya sa number 1, pagkatapos sa number 2, tama naman siya, no? Pero yung number 6, alam mo, mali sila. Hindi pwedeng magmarites. That is not allowed, especially in your data collection. Okay? So as you can notice, no, we are also trying our best na dapat hindi makita ng iba yung questions or yung answers ng ibang tao. Halimbawa kay Mary June, no? Halimbawa si Mary June mag-a-approach sa akin. Sir, bakit yung quiz number 1 ko mababa? Okay? Pwede akong mag-discuss kay Mary June. Pwede kong ipakita sa kanya, Mary June, these are your responses for quiz number 1. Pero hindi na dapat na makita ni Mary June kung ano man yung sagot ni Jasmine, ano man yung sagot ng ibang tao sa mundo, yung kanyang questions lang yung dapat pwede niyang makita. Okay? Privacy and confidentiality. Sir, paano sa research pinapublish yan? In research, guys, your individual responses, in quantitative research your individual responses are not published. Hindi naman sinasabi, hindi naman sinasabi na, halimbawa sasabihin na, ikaw kaya, number 1 wrong, number 2, number 3 check. Hindi naman ganon. Okay? Lalabas sa research na majority of the participants have high knowledge. Yung high knowledge, halimbawa, scores of 8 to 10. Hindi naman napapublish yung pangalan. Now, sir, bakit sa qualitative ibaba? In qualitative research, it depends on the specific type of qualitative research. Okay? So, plus may qualitative research na nilalagay talaga yung verbatim, okay? As in the words being mentioned by the participant. So, halimbawa, sasabihin niya, ang lungkot ng buhay, parang gusto ko na lang palagi uminom ng soft drinks. Halimbawa, ganun yung sinabi. Plus that the same quotation can be included in my paper as in the hardbound that I will be publishing later on. Pero halimbawa, kapag si Starwin yung sumabi nun, si Starwin yung participant ko na na-interview about that, I don't need to indicate the name of Starwin. Okay? I don't need to indicate the name of Starwin. Okay? So anong ilalagay ko? Halimbawa, papalitan ko yung pangalan niya. Halimbawa, sasabihin ko, okay, pwede akong sabihin na, ay, si Robert siya. Okay? We use pseudonyms. Ha? We use pseudonyms in qualitative research reporting. Okay? So kahit si Starwin yung nagsabi, nakalagay sa paper ko, Robert said, napakahirap ng buhay. Parang gusto ko na lang palagi uminom ng soft drinks. Okay? So ganun yung nangyayari. We use pseudonyms in the conduct of your qualitative research. Okay? So, ganun. Then, siguro the main point that I would like again to remind you is that whatever you're doing when it comes to your data collection, it's the privacy and the confidentiality. Sir, halimbawa sa hospital, gusto naming magreklamo. Halimbawa, magrereklamo tayo. Okay? We are not satisfied with the services being rendered in the hospital. Pwede bang i-publish sa newspaper yung pangalan natin? Pwede bang ganon? Hindi. Okay? Halimbawa, sasabihin ng hospital, itong pasyenteng to masyadong pareklamo. Kaya huwag yung tanggapin sa hospital ninyo. Okay? Hindi po pwedeng ganon. It could not be published. So, saan mapupunta yung pangalan mo kapag magko-complain ka sa hospital? It will be the management who will deal with it. Hindi naman pwede na itago lang ng isang tao yung pangalan mo kasi hindi maa-address yung problema mo. So it will be referred to people who can address your problem. But your name should not be made publicly available. Okay? Maraming ganyan, class, sa hospital. Maraming concerns kayong mamimit sa hospital. Okay? And that is actually part of improving our healthcare processes. Okay? Hindi mo naman maiwawala. Hindi naman po lahat happy when it comes to your patient care, although you are doing your best. So that's why we are having the evaluation. Okay? Then, in cases of academic institutions, and then right now, even hospital institutions, an official email is provided to the employees. Okay? So if you have an official email, your official email should be the one that will be used. Okay? Should be the one that must be used when you are making these forms, when you are sending out these forms. Because, for example, in Google, there is a certain setting, class, that allows participants or that allows members of the organization to share data in between and to limit the data sharing among these people. So halimbawa, if this link halimbawa you are in school A, pagkatapos somebody from school B is trying to access your data, that data could not be easily accessed by school B without the permission of the administration of school A. Okay? Pagkatapos, class, the use of official email would actually authenticate that you are the ones actually holding, or you are the ones actually answering the quizzes, you are the ones answering the emails, you are the ones answering the surveys. Okay? So that's why the use of official email is recommended. Now, for the purpose of our discussion, allow me to do a little demonstration as to how to do your Google Forms. Again, I would like to say that I am not endorsing Google Forms here. There are other platforms that can be used. However, Google Forms is widely used right now, so that's why I will be discussing it to you. Okay? Now, there are many ways to access your Google Form. If we are doing it via the Google Classroom, it's very easy also. But for this time, I will be doing it via email. Sige. So, as you can see, you have here your burger. Okay, so burger po ang tawag dyan, ng 9 buttons na yan, or the 9 dots. So, when you will be clicking that, that will allow you or give you access to several applications also of the Google. Okay, so in this case, we will be using Google Forms. Now, if we are going into your Google Classroom, kapag pupunta po tayo sa Google Classroom in a while, if we are going to the Google Classroom, let's say for example, the way that we are making your quizzes in the Google Classroom, it will be a different way, no? May ibang paraan po. So ano po yung ginagawa namin dito sa Google Classroom? Create quiz assignment. And then from that quiz assignment, there will be already a blank quiz that will be created. And then that is where we are creating the quiz that we are administering to the students through the Google Classroom. Okay? Pero we will be talking about forms in general use. Okay? Balik tayo. So pag-usapan natin yung forms in general use. Okay? So again, pumunta ako dito sa Google Apps and then I click the Google Forms. Now, once you click the Google Form, this window would appear. Okay? So let's choose something blank. Okay? And then let's say for example that we are doing a survey. Okay? Let's consider this as a nursing care evaluation survey. Okay? So that is your nursing care evaluation survey. Now, if you can notice guys, this is already the title of your form. Okay? Title po yan ng form natin. Pagkatapos, dapat may form description tayong nilalagay. Pag sinabi po nating form description, just like when you are making any article, dapat yung first sentence po natin is very concise. If may gusto pa po tayong i-explain, sa next paragraph na po natin ilagay. Halimbawa, in this case, no, nursing care evaluation survey, sasabihin ko, this survey is intended for patients of Hospital A who have comments, feedback, and recommendations for the hospital. Okay? Ganun lang. Okay? Tapos halimbawa, marami ka pang gustong i-explain, i-next paragraph mo na. Dahil kayo mismo makaka-witness, di ba, na kapag masyadong mahabang paragraph siya, ano yung tendency? You're skipping the paragraph, no? Halimbawa sa internet, di ba, pag may i-click-click, yung gagawin ng yung ginagawa natin, scroll down, tapos hanapin yung agree. Di ba? Ay, ito agree, ay, ito disagree. Tapos again, next. No? Even your participants would have the same attitude. So dapat you will be able to capture it in a short paragraph kung ano po yung gusto natin. Okay? Now, if you are making also your survey, one important thing that you need to do once you have already the title is to go to the settings. Punta tayo sa settings. Okay? Now, quiz nga ba ito? Kapag quiz siya, automatically i-check siya. Okay? Pagkatapos, halimbawa, naset ko siyang quiz. Pinaparelease yung grades. Is it immediately after submission? So halimbawa, pag submit mo, nakikita mo na, ay, 6 out of 10 lang ako. Pero pag ako teacher, ayaw ko munang ipakita yung score sa halimbawa, I will be clicking later after manual review. Okay? So later after manual review, kapag hindi ko muna gustong ipakita sa inyo yung results ng quiz ninyo. Sir, kailan po ginagamit yung later after manual review? In teaching strategies, guys, bakit po namin pinapa-later after manual review? Kasi yung mga students, mababait, no? Ano pong ibig sabihin natin ng mababait? Alam mo yung ayaw niya na yung ibang kaklase mababagsak or yung ayaw niya na yung ibang section mababa yung scores. So anong gagawin? I-share, di ba? So mabait kasi kami, sir. Kawawa naman, baka hindi makapasa sa klase mo, di ba? So i-share namin dapat sa ibang klase yan. Okay? So to avoid sharing the answers to the students, we are not releasing the grades right away. Okay? So kung kaya minsan nanonotice nyo, bakit walang score, no? Bakit walang score? Bakit yung iba may score? So the purpose of that is to prevent the students to see right away kung ano yung score niya para hindi niya ma-screenshot at saka mapasa sa lahat. Okay? Now, look at this, no? Respondent settings. Ano yung makikita mo? Okay? So you will be able to see missed questions, correct answer, at saka value points. If the teacher would want to avoid cheating again, pina-off po yan lahat. Okay? Ano pong ibig sabihin ng missed questions? Halimbawa, okay, Isang question, di ba? Nakikita nyo sa Google Classroom, may question tayo dyan. Tapos after you take the exam, may nakalagay 1 point. That is already your correct answers. In other words, alam mo, ay, tama ako sa item na to. Pwede ko tong i-share sa boyfriend at girlfriend ko, ano? Para siguro check din sila. Doon naman sa missed questions, nakikita mo, ay, 0 ako dito, mali yung sagot ko. So, dapat hindi A yung isagot nila, baka B or baka C or baka D. Doon naman sa point values, makikita mo kung ilang points ang natanggap mo sa bawat item. Okay? That's why, usually, we are turning it off and we are just turning it on by the time that you will be reviewing the scores that you have. Okay? So, yan po yung mga dapat nating isipin kapag kayo yung gumagawa ng quiz. Okay? So, dapat mag-isip din kayo tulad naming mga teachers. Now, default question value. Halimbawa, bawat question gusto ko 2 points each. Okay? Pwede kong i-respond na 2 points each siya. Para automatically 2 points each na bawat question natin. Okay? However, for the purpose of this discussion, we are not making a quiz, so I will be turning this off. Okay, turn off ko siya, ha? Now, responses. So, collect email responses or collect email address. Guys, collection of email address is an ideal practice. Dapat naka-turn on po siya. Bakit po? Kapag hindi po tayo magko-collect ng email address, ang tendency po is that nung nag-send ka ng form kay Gilbert, if you fill up ni Gilbert yung form. Pagka next time nag-follow up, send to all ka na naman, tapos sabi ni Gilbert, nasagutan ko ba to or hindi? The tendency is that Gilbert will again answer the question. Okay? So kaya ni Gilbert nasagutan yung question several times kasi hindi naman kino-collect yung email address niya. Whereas, if the email address class is collected, you can actually limit to 1 response per email address. Okay? So halimbawa, no, kapag na-send ko na siya for example kay Jasmine, tapos naka-accomplish na si Jasmine, the next time that Jasmine will click, she will be notified, you have already accomplished this form. Okay? Hindi ka na pwedeng mag-accomplish ulit. So again, I would like to repeat, collection of email address is recommended and ideal practice. Bakit inulit ko yung ideal practice? Guys, kapag kasi magsisend ka ng survey, doon naman sa ibang tao na hindi pa masyado accustomed sa technology, the tendency is that they will have hard time if they need to log in their email pa. Okay? They will also have hard time if they need to log in their email. Okay? So that's why some researchers are turning this off. Okay? But then again, this is an ideal practice. Huh? But we need to admit that our country is still transitioning towards acceptance of the use of technology. And not everybody is happy on clicking it. Okay? So, that's why you need to weigh. You need to weigh. Okay? You need mong timbangin kung dapat nga bang i-on mo yan or i-off. Now, send responders a copy of their response. So, pwede mo siyang gawing optional or pwede mo siyang gawing always. Ano pong ibig sabihin yan? By the time that you will be able to accomplish, okay, the participant will be able to accomplish the survey, halimbawa sa phone siya nag-answer, by the time na matapos niya, masisend sa email niya, you have answered these questions. Ito po yung sagot ninyo. Okay? Now, allow response editing. Yung pag-allow po ng response editing, as the term implies, pagkatapos kong sumagot ng question, pwede ko pa nga ba siyang i-edit? Okay? What do you think? If we are doing this in quizzes, do we allow response editing? If sa quizzes, pwede bang mag-response editing? Okay, I can see you. Hindi. Okay? Hindi. Pero class, for example, in qualitative surveys, pwede. Okay? In case that your participants would want to add something, they can do it. Okay? Now, so depende sa inyo yan and depende sa use niya kung kailangan nyo nga bang i-allow yung response editing. Usually, we are not allowing it. Now, this option restricts it to the users of the university or the organization to which you are using it. For example, if I will be clicking this, only people from this organization will be able to open my form. Hindi siya mabubuksan ng another person from school A, not another person from school B or school C, but only people from this school or organization will be able to use it. Okay? So, we usually turn it on for security purposes. But be mindful, halimbawa, gumagawa ka ng research, tapos may participants ka from other school, so you need to turn it off. Okay? Then, limiting to one response. We usually turn it on because we don't want people to be repeating their responses over and over again. Now, presentation. For the presentation of your questions, meron po tayong progress bar na tinatawag para po, for example, makita natin kapag ako yung sumasagot, malalaman ko, ba, napakaraming question, saang part na nga ba ako? Okay? So we turn it on so that they will know, ay, may 5 sections pa akong sasagutan. Okay? Now, shuffle question order is very good if you are doing quizzes. If you are administering quizzes, shuffling the question order is very good. That actually prevents cheating among your students. Okay? Now, pagkatapos, view results summary. Dito dapat maging maingat tayo. Plus, kapag nag-view po kasi tayo ng results summary, the tendency is that people will be able to see what are the responses of others. Okay? Nakikita po ng tao yung response ng iba. So you need to be careful. You need to be careful. Ano pong ibig kong sabihin dyan? Baka po part ng responses, tinanong mo yung first name, yung last name po ng participant, pwede pong makita dyan. Okay? Pwede pong makita dyan. So dapat be careful if you would want to show the results summary. Kapag sa quizzes naman po, kapag ipapakita mo po yung results summary, nakikita question number 1 ay mali silang lahat. Question number 2 ay letter B yung tamang sagot. Okay, so this is also turned off when you are dealing with quizzes. And then class, disable autosave for all participants. Usually that is turned off. Bakit po? Pag sinabi po nating autosave, halimbawa I have 10 questions. Tapos on the 5th question, there is a power outage in your area. Okay? If naka-autosave po siya, by the time that you will return, you will resume to question number 5. Pero kapag na-disable po yung autosave, ano po yung mangyayari? By the time plus na taga-power outage, wala, you're back to 0. So you need mo naman ulitin yung form. Hindi na save yung responses mo. Okay? So that's why we usually enable that. By enabling that, what I mean is that we turn it off. We do not disable it. Okay? Now, form defaults, class at saka question defaults. So, it's up to you whether you will make each question required. And it's up also to you whether you will be collecting email addresses. Okay? Now, guys, this is not something for you to memorize, but instead something for you to explore and familiarize. Okay? Bakit po hindi pwedeng i-memorize? When I first started using Google Form, let's say way back 2015, 2016, iba po yung itsura. Okay? When Google Form was on its peak by 2020-21 because of the pandemic, there were a lot of updates that are being done. Okay? And in fact, class, yung mga pag-shuffle ng questions na yan, wala pa yan dati. Okay? Yung pag-limit ng responses, wala pa yan dati. So you need to explore this so that by the time that you will be doing it, okay, you will be able to know kung ano yung features na available. And then one tip that I can give you is that, class, by the time that you need to do this, or by the time that you need to practice this in your respective work, i-dry run nyo muna. Okay? Halimbawa sa research, no? Kapag sa research namin, guys, kapag may questionnaire na po kami sa research, we are sending the questions to our members also para malaman lamang kapag ang Google Form is working properly. Okay? So dapat may dry run ka, hindi pa pwede na, ay, naturo to sa amin sa informatics, magaling na ako dito, alam ko this, send to all. Hindi pwedeng ganon. Ha? So dapat dry run ka when you are implementing this. Okay? Okay, so in research, we refer to that as your pilot study. Now, let's go to questions. So class, the first part there is your title. Pagkatapos class, you can add actually, as you can see here, you can add already a question, or you can import questions, you can add another title, you can add an image, you can even add a video, and then you can add a section. What I would recommend to you is that you will add a section. Okay? Now class, kapag mahaba yung questions mo, dapat divided siya into sections. Or halimbawa, in this case, since we are making a nursing care evaluation survey, halimbawa class, we will say, patient data. Okay? Gusto ko munang malaman yung patient data para ma-address ko kung kanino yung kaninong problem yun. Okay? So class, that will be one section. And then another section that I will be making is your evaluation survey already. Okay? So dyan ko aalamin kung happy nga ba sila or hindi. Okay? Now, under patient data, the common thing that we can ask is, nagtatanong tayo ng pangalan. If you are asking for the name, you better give your respondent a format on how to do it so that it will not be difficult for you to arrange it later on. And then as you might have seen, automatically nag-adjust siya class na maging short answer. Okay? Automatically nag-adjust siya class na maging short answer. Okay? Now, halimbawa, name, last name, first name. Okay. Pagkatapos, gusto kong malaman sa hospital kung ano yung room number niya. Okay? So for the room number class, it could be a short answer or I could do it as a multiple choice. In Clay's class, I will be using it as a short number, as a short answer. I can actually set a guideline na kung paano po niya sasagutin. So halimbawa, kasi gusto ko ng number, dapat yung sagot niya class, if you can notice, I went here on the 3 dots, okay, and then I click response validation. So ang sabi class dito, halimbawa, number yung sasagot. So it should be a number greater than 0. Okay? Pag mali po yung sinagot ng participant ko, sasabihin ko, please type the number. Okay? Ganon. Now, ano pong purpose ng response validation? Halimbawa, guys, sinagot niya, nilagay niya sa number, maganda ako. Hindi tatanggapin ng Google Form yun. Hindi tatanggapin ng Google Form yun. Maliban po sa nag-aambisyon po siya, kidding aside, maliban po sa ganon, alam po natin na hindi po siya numero. Okay, so the Google Form will say, please type the number. Okay, ganun yung kalalabasan. Okay, now what's the purpose no? For example, in research, if you're asking for age, kadalasan class kapag age yung tinatanong mo, may iba na susulat 25, may iba na susulat 25 years old, yung iba naman 25YO, yung iba naman 25YRS.old. In data analysis, you will find it difficult kapag iba-iba yung pagkasulat nila ng 25. Okay? So para maging uniform po, you need to have the response validation that it should be a number. So that is one feature here of your Google form, okay, the response validation. Sige. You have any questions so far? So, as mentioned earlier, when you talk about your Google form could be divided into several sections. So in this example, the first section is the title, which is Nursing Care Evaluation Survey. The second section here is the patient data. So for the patient data, I have included here the name of the patient and then the room number. Another information perhaps that we can include is we can include the date of admission. So for that example, as you can notice, I click the plus sign here, which would mean that I would want to add a question. And then I could have the date of admission. If you can notice, by the time that I have typed the word date, automatically the Google form has adjusted its layout in such a way that it will be able to cater date. Right? That means, guys, that it will only accept formats of answer that is in date format, and then it will not be accepting other responses already. So that is one beauty of your Google form. Now, let's proceed to other types of the questions that you can have in your Google form. So for your Google form, you can have your short answer, you can have your paragraph, you can have your multiple choice, your check boxes, your drop down, file upload, linear scale, multiple choice grid, and then the checkbox grid. Now, for the purpose of your evaluation survey, for example, in the hospital setting, perhaps the best that we can have is your checkbox grid. No? The best that we can have is your checkbox grid. Now, allow me to give an example. For example, I would want to evaluate the services of the following areas. Okay, following areas in the hospital setting. So if I will be evaluating, for example, the services of, can you name a department? Can you name or chat a department in the hospital setting? Can anybody do that? What are the departments that we have in the hospital? Anybody?
OPD, sir.
Okay, so let's say for example, outpatient department. That's one. And then another department that we can have is of course your inpatient department. Okay? Yes, you also have your rehab department in case your patient was able to avail services there. Okay, let's have rehabilitation unit, for example. And then we will have another one. Another example, perhaps the most common ones that your patient would avail is the pharmacy. Then you also have your central supply. Then you also have your dietary department. Okay, there are a lot of departments in the hospital setting in which we can evaluate. We can even evaluate the cashier. We can even evaluate the admitting department for that matter. Now, given that we have the following departments for evaluation, we could ask for their performance, whether their performance is poor, whether their performance is average, or whether their performance is excellent, or maybe we can have a mark that is not applicable. Okay? Why is it not applicable? For example, hindi naman nagpa-rehab yung pasyente mo, so pwede namang not applicable. Okay? Now, we say here require a response in each row, which would mean that your participants, your patient would need to have a mark for each department. Hindi pwede na i-leave blank niya yung outpatient. Hindi pwede na i-leave blank niya yung inpatient. Pero kapag hindi niya nagamit yung services na yon, he just need to tick not applicable. Okay? Or pwede natin sabihin not able to use it. I will try to send to you the copy of the form later on so that you will be able to understand kung ano yung itsura niya once you are already the respondent trying to answer it. Okay? So that is an example of the checkbox grid. So pwede nyo i-turn on or pwede nyo i-turn off na may response sa bawat row. Mind you, if you turn it off, the tendency is that your participant will skip other items. So it's better for you to turn it on. Pagkatapos, you can have the shuffling of the row order. Halimbawa, kapag matching type exam to, pwede ko siyang i-shuffle para yung items na lalabas, halimbawa kay Apple, ibang items naman yung lalabas kay Katrina. Okay? Kasi nga naka-shuffle siya. Okay? But since this is not an exam, I will not be having the shuffling of the row order as of this time. Okay? That's it, guys, for your checkbox grid. Now, I will give you an example for the multiple choice. Huh? Just as an example, no? Halimbawa, which department do you think needs major improvement? Okay? So, plus a major improvement, halimbawa sa mga departments, follow natin ulit, no? Outpatient, pagkatapos inpatient department, pagkatapos dietary, okay? Tapos halimbawa cashier. Okay? Now, if that's the case, you just allow your respondent to determine saan nga ba sa kanilang apat yung kailangan nating i-improve. Okay? Now, if this is a multiple choice, halimbawa, exam, binibigay ko sa inyo. Kapag may exam po akong ginagawa, ano pong ginagawa natin? Okay? Pag exam po siya, nakaset po siya as quiz. And once nakaset po siya as quiz, kapag pupunta po ako sa multiple choice items, pupunta ako sa in a while. Okay? Sorry, I'll remove the description. And then I'll go to, wait lang ha, puntahan natin. Okay, multiple choice. Okay, nandito na. So class, no, kapag quiz siya, halimbawa ha, di ba na-set ko siya as quiz? So may answer key siyang lalabas. Halimbawa, sasabihin ko, what is the course that studies the combination of nursing science, tapos technology and information. So, di ba, alam niyo yung sagot, supposedly nursing informatics. So, halimbawa, choices, pharmacology. Pagkatapos, another choice is astronomy. Pagkatapos, another choice is nursing informatics. Tapos sabihin none of the choices. So class, para ma-check ko kung tama yung sagot ninyo, I would need to set the answer. So in that case, kung nakita nyo, I click the answer key here so that I will be able to check that the answer is nursing informatics. Okay? Pero pag survey, wala namang tama or maling sagot sa survey, di ba? unless if your research is about the knowledge of the participants, so you need to set the right and the wrong answers. Pero class, when it comes to survey, wala naman tayong right and wrong answers usually. So I'm just showing this to you as an example kung paano natin ginagawa yung multiple choice items natin. Okay? Now, for the purpose of example, I will be turning off the quiz kasi hindi naman po ito quiz, and then I will delete the multiple choice as an example. Now, another thing that you can have is checkboxes. Okay? Pag sinabi naman nating checkboxes, class, usually, we use checkboxes if more than one response yung hinihingi po natin. Okay? Pag more than one response po yung hinihingi po natin, dapat po tayong gumamit ng checkboxes. Halimbawa, if I would want to know what department do you think performed beyond your expectations, ibig sabihin, sino yung mga department na magagaling, no? So, pwede akong mag-checkbox. Tapos, class, lagay ko dito sa instruction, select all that apply. Okay? Pwede kong sabihin, select all that apply. Now, doon, class, sa select all that apply, pwede po nilang i-select kahit ilang department man po yung para sa kanila maganda or hindi maganda. Okay? So, again, we use the checkbox feature if we are expecting multiple response from our respondents. Okay? Now, another feature po that we have is that you also have your drop-down. Yung drop-down, basically, it's also choices. Pero the thing is, hindi lumalabas yung apat na choices at the same time. Okay? I will give you an example of a drop-down here. Later nyo pa yan maa-appreciate once you already have the form. Ha? Right now, na ginagawa natin yung form, hindi nyo makikita yung difference ni drop-down. Okay? So class, mamaya makikita ninyo na the choices are just going down. You need to click it for you to choose. Okay? That's why it's referred to as a drop-down box. Okay? Later, makikita nyo yan kung paano siya gagawin. Pagkatapos class, file upload. Pag sinabi ko namang file upload, okay, as the term implies, mag-upload ka ng file. Okay? So, halimbawa, sabihin ko, please upload a 2x2 picture. Okay? Kasi requirement, halimbawa natin na may 2x2 picture. So, I can only allow the following files. Halimbawa, image. Okay? Pwede kong i-allow siguro yung, image lang. Tapos, maximum number of files, isa lang yung gusto ko. Maximum file size, 10 MB lang. Okay? Now, that's one example of file upload. Pag gusto naman ni sir magtanong about, let's say for example, identification, that will be short answer. Pag gusto ko namang mahabang sagot, paragraph po yung ginagamit natin. So halimbawa, sa paragraph, sasabihin ko, identify the areas that we need to improve in the hospital setting. Okay? So halimbawa, ganon. So your respondent will be given an opportunity to answer it, okay, in a long paragraph or long sentences kasi you have given them the paragraph. Now, once you are done with your form, halimbawa, you need to have a closing section, and that closing section is thank you. Okay? Kasi class, in this case, my example is nursing care evaluation survey. Ibig sabihin, gusto kong i-evaluate kung ano yung nangyari sa nursing care, halimbawa in the hospital. So, ano pong sasabihin natin? I can say, we will look forward or we will look into your concerns and we will contact you if the need arises. Okay? Pwedeng ganon. Now, kapag seminar naman halimbawa, ilagay mo dyan, what are the next steps that your participant will be doing? Okay? What are the next steps that will be expected by your participants? Kapag quiz naman, kung na-notice nyo, thank you, study your lessons again. Okay? Or thank you kapag last quiz na, halimbawa. So, what's important is that you will have a closing section so that your participant will know, ay okay, tapos na pala. Okay? Tapos na pala. Hindi pa pala siya tapos na akong ng survey, wala na palang continuation. Now, if you would want to share this to your participants, which I will be doing right now, okay, I will be pressing send. One thing is that I can encode your emails here, isa-isa, or I can share to you a link, just like this one, copy, Tapos I will be sending it through chat, halimbawa dito sa ating Zoom meeting, no? Okay, so please accomplish this form. Okay, I've sent a link to you. I will give you few seconds. Did you receive the link? Can I get a thumbs up kung na-receive natin yung link? Pwedeng thumbs up react. Okay, meron. Sige. I would give you an opportunity to please accomplish the form. Just use any name, just write anything there or click anything there. Okay? Accomplish natin in few seconds. No? I'll give you a minute to accomplish it and then we will see how the responses work. Okay? Okay, so as you can see, the responses are updated right away. As we can see here on this example, there are already 3 responses, right? And these 3 responses are accomplished by your classmates. And as you can see, I will be able to see what room number they are, okay? When were they admitted? How was the services of the following departments? And which department do you think needs a major improvement? Okay, dietary, yan po talaga yung always nirereklamo sa hospital. Pero hindi naman nila kasalanan kung bakit yun yung pagkain. Ano? Pagkatapos class perform beyond expectations. Okay? And somebody uploaded also some pictures. Okay, so as you can see, there is real-time update. Okay? May real-time update tayong nakukuha when it comes to your survey that are being done online. But mind you, no, not all surveys done online would have all of this data completed. Hindi po yan dahil ng online survey, but it will be because of the quality of the questionnaire that you are using. So please be reminded that whether you are doing it online or face-to-face, you need to ensure that you stand by the standard of ethics. And then if you will be doing research also, using your Google Forms or other platforms later on in the future, please make sure that you abide by the guidelines that are being set to us. Okay? So kung nakikita nyo, there are already 14 responses. Okay? Marami po yatang na-admit ng April 2023 or baka pinili nyo na lang yung date for today. Okay? And I can see here that there is comments already that are being given. Okay? Anyway, the main point is that I hope that you see that anong tawag natin dyan? It is immediately updated and it is considered to be real time. Okay? That's one thing that we need to appreciate about this online platform, Google Form. And then again, I would like to reiterate, no, I am not particularly endorsing Google Form. There are a lot of platforms that can be used online for this purpose. Pero yung common lang kasi naririnig natin, Google Form, and I made it a point that you will also have an idea as to how to use it. Now, on your succeeding activity, you will be expected to create a Google Form. I will be posting the specific instructions in your learning management systems. Okay, that will be Google Classroom in most of us, so that you will have a clear guidance kung ano yung gagawin natin. So, I will be asking you also to send a link, and then you will also be asked to take screenshots of your questionnaire so that I will be able to document that you were able to do it by yourself. Okay.